Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to the Hanover Messi event. Today, I have the great pleasure to be here with different partners, customers, and MS teams here at Microsoft. We are delighted to be here representing what the workforce transformation looks like today. I am Yuri Gomez. I am the worldwide manufacturing leader in strategy for manufacturing at Microsoft. And today we are going to really be talking about how transforming your workforce is really now a new setting that many manufacturers have to think about how to enable the worker in many different fronts. So you will be hearing a little bit about the solutions and capabilities that Scheffler, for example, is implementing at their manufacturing place. You're also going to be hearing how Tulip, one of our key partners, what they are doing in terms of enabling customers around the world in enhancing the operations for frontline workers. And then you're going to be hearing about how MS Teams is really one of the platform of choice when it really comes to collaboration and engagement. So with that, I want to start with welcoming the panel. Thank you so much for joining me. I would like to introduce ourselves. So can we start with Ronnie, Patrick, and Scott, a little introduction about your companies and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Ronnie Kubat. I'm the co-founder and CTO of a company called Tulip. We are a spin-out from MIT, about 6 years old now, and we make a platform for frontline operators, basically a tool for them to create new kinds of applications for the shop floor. These applications are in the cloud. They're connected to the physical world through an IoT component, and they have built-in analytics in them, which allows those applications to be continuously refined. And these applications are built in a no-code platform, so you don't have to be any kind of expert in order to create and start using them.
That sounds awesome. Patrick.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks, Yuri. Yeah, my name is Patrick Hopp. I'm an IT product manager at Scheffler, and Scheffler is a global automotive and industrial supplier that operates over 70 production plants and employs over 80,000 people globally. And Scheffler, it's making its contribution to mobility with high precision components, systems and engine, transmission and chassis applications. In addition to rolling and plain bearing solutions for a large number of industrial applications. So overall, we're doing everything what's turning, so to say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Patrick. And Scott, please go ahead.
Thanks, Yuri. I'm Scott Morrison, and I work at Microsoft on the Modern Workplace Transformation team, leading our manufacturing efforts for Microsoft 365, including those focused on frontline workers.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much again, everyone, for joining me. So I think this is great. When I really think about this topic of transforming your workforce, I get very excited because I see all the tremendous progress that technology is enabling for manufacturers, especially when it comes to empowering your frontline workers with new tools, with devices, and technology in a way that they actually can achieve more. And so for manufacturing leaders to understand a little bit about what transforming your workforce means, I would like to start asking the panel for your perspective on some of the most critical challenges that frontline workers are facing today, and even perhaps what they were facing before the pandemic hit, how it transitioned to perhaps even more challenges and deeper problems in manufacturing for the working force, and then how COVID-19 has magnified those issues. So, Ronnie, let me start with you.
Yeah, there's a lot to sort of unpack there. I think that when you look at the kinds of challenges that we see when we go out to the shop floors, there's a couple of key things among them. So one is the traditional lean manufacturing type challenges. So everybody in manufacturing is lean in one way, shape, or another somewhere along their lean journey, and they primarily have been using analog tools. A lot of the time, you see a ton of paper artifacts still on the shop floor. And there's a limit to where paper can take you and all these analogs can take you. And that's where kind of digital technologies can start to step in and supplant them and improve them and give you faster visibility and a more data-driven approach to the kinds of continuous improvement efforts that you do on the shop floor. Now, the challenge, though, is that how do the actual digital technologies allow you to make those changes quickly as possible, make the changes quickly, and better understand what it is that are the changes that you want to implement in order to get the kind of continuous improvement results. So that's like one class of problems where sort of traditional mechanisms, and a lot of the traditional digital technologies have not really been able to help. The second side is on the personnel side of things. So one side you have the so-called silver tsunami, the aging workforce, where you have the highest skilled, most talented folks on the production floor that are retiring and taking a lot of the knowledge with them. And at the same time, you have a new workforce coming in where they're used to having supercomputers in their pocket, and you can't give them a clipboard and a piece of paper and expect them to, be able to perform to the level that they're really able to. So these are kind of dual challenges, are examples of things that we're seeing when we go to visit a lot of our customers on the floor.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. And thank you so much for sharing, Ronnie. I couldn't agree more. I think that those issues really have exacerbated with everything happening now. So, Patrick, what are you seeing in terms of Scheffler?
Yeah, well, first of all, everything what Ronnie told us, I can really support. I think especially for us in the manufacturing industry, has always been the goal to increasing productivity, and of course there are many other goals, but that, I think, is the key to be competitive and create added value for our customers. And but that applies in particular, of course, to the frontline workers, and digital transformation for them means, from my point of view, support them that they can do their job to the best of their ability. And generally spoken, it's all about to provide the frontline workers with the right information at the right time and in the proper form that really meets their needs. And one example that we are facing is to provide them with fast access to field service for manufacturing equipment, and that's an even bigger challenge in times of travel restrictions during this Corona pandemic.
Oh, that's great. And so I'm sure that probably with the pandemic, this magnified, especially people can't travel anymore. Yeah. So no, that's so fantastic to hear. Thank you, Patrick. Scott, what do you see from customers? Or Ronnie, do you want to make another comment?
I was just going to say, it made me think that the pandemic has sort of amplified this need of getting greater transparency and visibility to what's happening on the shop floor, and it's magnified it in a sense that need has always been present, but now it's COVID-19 has forced the issue in a lot of ways. And what I really anticipate is that the net result of this is that we will never go back to the way we were before. That the kind of visibility that we're starting to get now through the use of this digital technologies is here to stay forever.
Yeah, it's so impactful, Ronnie, to hear from you, especially you serve many customers. Patrick, I know at Scheffler, you see this magnified across all your plants, and running with so many customers of different types that you actually serve through Tulip. I'm sure that, it's just so great to hear that, you bring this forward, because here at Microsoft, and Scott probably will mention a few of these things even better than myself, but we hear all of this, like the transformation digital technology has accelerated in a pace that we never thought of before. We have achieved in probably 1 year, if not a few months, what was perhaps in the pipeline for the next 10 years. So Scott, I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, definitely agree. And if you boil it down, sort of what the biggest pain point that we saw across all our customers was around this need for communication. You mentioned how we were seeing really fast digital transformation. And In the first 2 months of the pandemic, we saw basically what would normally take organizations 2 years to transform. And then throughout the rest of the year, we saw usage of Microsoft Teams triple even from that.
Amazing.
And really, the reason is this need to digitally communicate and collaborate with everyone in the organization, which was always important, all of a sudden became absolutely essential. And so we saw a variety of different types of communication needs across our different customers, where the most basic one of being able to just connect the folks on the factory floor, we saw at Alcoa, where they were able to use Teams so that they could safely return to work. Then Toyota was able to enable supplier, product, and plant walkthroughs completely virtually. And so this saved them a lot of time and shortened their processes. And then Goodyear was able to connect their factories with remote experts, once again, saving on travel and getting them back to what it is they need to do much more quickly. And then Kohler also not only organized within their own company, but also connected their plants to their customers for factory acceptance testing. So those are just a couple different ways in which we saw organizations bridging that communication gap with the new tools available to them. And what's great is that not only did they find that this helped them avoid work stoppages, but it actually improved the efficiency and safety of their processes, which really shortened the time it took to make decisions.
Okay, very good. No, amazing. So I think for decades, in my own observation, is that manufacturing workers, they have been left isolated in most of the transformation strategies that manufacturers undertake. And especially because typically manufacturing improvements are all focused on transforming operations, lowering, lowering costs and even driving continuous process improvements. But very rarely really do manufacturers leaders take into account what is needed for enabling frontline workers. So with that in mind, I would like to really transition into asking then, how are all these great capabilities, digital innovation and technology, helping to transform how manufacturers and frontline workers operate? So let me start with you, Patrick. Can you share a little bit about then the digital capabilities that you have enabled at Scheffler and how that is transforming the way that operations are being managed nowadays?
Yeah, sure. At Scheffler, we've been working for quite a while on implementing such worker assistance systems like hands-free video calling, using augmented or mixed reality glasses. We just figured that it might be the solution to start with. Because we think it's the most promising and flexible solution in terms of use cases for our frontline workers, and because they are always faced with the issue if a machine breaks down to solve this issue as quick as possible or as quickly as possible, and in case it's a serious problem they can't solve on their own. It's crucial to get support from an expert who's not available on site or always available on site. And in the past, they either had to wait until the expert came to the location, or they tried to solve the issue remotely by having just a phone call or sending emails with pictures back and forth. And what you probably can imagine, that was not the most effective way to solve an issue. And that's exactly the point where HoloLens 2 and Remote Assist comes in here. It really helps us to make remote support and the communication way more effective. And because of the live interaction between the frontline worker sharing his view and the expert giving him direct instructions using mixed reality annotations to highlight certain things in the scene. And because of this, and also influenced by the of course Corona pandemic, I guess we've mentioned it a couple of times now, that really pushed those solutions, and we decided last year to equip all our production plants globally with this solution to just keep our ability to act in times of travel restrictions, and of course increase our productivity and support and global collaboration.
Thank you, Patrick. That's great. So, Ronnie, what do you see in terms of Tulip? You mentioned before about how Tulip is enabling the transition from manual operations to automated operations. Can you expand a little bit about this and why this is important when we think about transforming this way that manufacturers operate?
Yeah, so I think it's really about empowering the workforce in different ways. So I think it's important to understand a little bit about like what it is that Tulip does. So, it's a platform that you build applications for the shop floor, in short. And by the kinds of applications that you're building, these are quality applications. These are interactive, guided, poka-yoked work instructions. These are process visibility applications. There are, a large sort of spectrum of the kinds of things that sometimes they may be completely bespoke to a very particular workstation and the needs of that need. Some of them can be completely generally applicable to the full workforce on the floor. And these applications are kind of the term that we're using is citizen-driven development. These are applications that are created, developed, modified by the people on the floor that are also the users of this tool. And the result of this that we've seen is that you have more buy-in from the workforce itself to the use of these tools. You have the faster iteration of these tools in order to improve the performance. And the performance can come, not, I would say, as much from an automation in the sense of taking a human's job and replacing it with a robot or a machine. This is a kind of elimination of tedious tasks that a human might have to do. So, for example, taking a paper record of defect logs and transcribing that into a spreadsheet to do some kind of reporting metrics. Now, that's something that can be completely encapsulated within an application that gives you a live view of that, something that would have been on some kind of time delay. So I think that's the empowerment of the people on the ground. So this is the manufacturing engineers and even operators on the line is one of the key elements of the improvements that you can get.
Thank you so much for sharing. And fantastic. So Scott, MS Teams, what do you see how that is really the platform of choice? How is that enabling better collaboration and engagement?
Yeah, what we've seen is what makes Teams so unique is once you've got your information workers and your frontline workers all on the same communication platform, it actually lets you digitize your workflows and bring all the tools and processes you're already using into the flow of the conversations that happen around them. It's really hard to understate just the level of efficiency this brings to those processes. So we saw at Unilever that they were using Teams and the Power Platform to improve their factory quality assurance testing, while Toyota also digitized their continuous improvement or Kaizen process, and we were able to accelerate something that took months down to something that took a few days. We are seeing non-standard operational processes that were introduced due to COVID being able to be done in a compliant fashion using the approvals process in Teams. And operational reviews and inspections were streamlined through tasks in Teams. Marth Pet Care, they were able to actually do autonomous maintenance using Teams on RealWare to connect operators with experts instantly for troubleshooting and training. And what's really cool is that they think they've permanently reduced 80% of their experts needed travel, even after the pandemic. Alcoa is managing their operator schedules where they're able to use shifts to optimize when folks come in to improve health and safety. And then Volvo, we're seeing them be able to train and onboard their employees using Teams. And so the thing that all of these many examples have in common is that Microsoft Teams is the platform that manufacturers all over the world, in collaboration with this rich ecosystem of partners, they're able to connect their workforce, digitize their processes, and streamline onboarding, which really transforms the way that they're able to work.
Thank you, Scott. That's really great to hear. Impressive. So thank you for sharing all of those customer examples. I would like to ask Ronnie, what do you see from other customer examples? One in a minute or so, can you highlight one example that you feel very proud about?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm here in southern Germany. I'm at the plant for DMG Moray. They are a global leader in precision machine tools. And they have taken Tulip and really run with it. They now have a team of folks that are building Tulip apps for all of their factories, and it's present in basically every single floor are elements where you have better guidance, better visibility, and better management and communication across the teams between logistics and assembly, et cetera.
Thank you. And Patrick, if you were to summarize in a few words, what's the true impact that Dynamics 365 Remote Assistant HoloLens 2 has driven for Scheffler? What is that?
Yeah, sure. I would like to maybe give also some experiences we've made while rolling out the system and HoloLens and Remote Assist at Scheffler, since it was our first implementation project using cutting edge technology like mixed reality glasses in a production environment. We learned a lot, and what I especially would like to highlight, besides all the technical aspects, like device enrollment, IT security requirements, and so on, what we actually could handle quite easily, supported by Microsoft, is the enablement using solutions like that in people's heads. People are at least a little reserved usually, and not always open-minded about using those digital technologies. They don't know yet, and sometimes they are even, let's say, afraid of losing their jobs because of digital technologies or automation technologies in general. And that's something we needed to deal with and really convince them. And to be honest, again, the Corona pandemic played a key role with this. Before, you often heard statements like, we always did it like that. Why should we change our processes and so on? And Corona or the pandemic just forced people to change, because they traveling was not allowed, and people needed to work, for example, in home office. And they must use it, and they figured out it really helps them to solve their problems. And since then, we overall are getting tremendously positive feedback, and not just like that. That's something what I guess also Ronnie mentioned. People in the plants come up continuously with new ideas how to use it and how to leverage most of the technology. And there's even more now than just the remote maintenance support. Meanwhile, we do a huge variety of use cases like commissioning of commissioning of new machines, virtual plant tours, quality and security audits, and also started involving, for example, external machine vendors and also customers. So to sum it up, that's a great basement for the next steps for further applications. And it also by now helped us really to, as mentioned in the beginning, keep our ability to act and increase productivity.
Patrick, thank you so much. That's really such a great example of impact. So from collaboration to engagement and cultural transformation, technology is truly empowering the way the manufacturers and frontline workers are achieving more maximization of value for their business. They are achieving higher levels of productivity, either on-site or remotely, and they are lacking more worker ingenuity while accelerating operational efficiency in a time that I think is so critical to optimize performance and well-being. So to learn more about our technology and manufacturing solutions, you are most than welcome to visit our most recent announcement for Manufacturing for Cloud. Thank you to my panel, and very good luck to the audience in determining if this is really the choice they want. Please contact Microsoft or our partners to explore more. Thank you.